It's not impossible. It's not. And I know some of you have been counseled by the devil. I mean, he has gotten in your ear and convinced you that you can't do this, that the offense was so great, it is impossible. No, it's not, actually. In fact, I love this verse, and you probably know this verse. This is my grandmother's favorite verse. I've known this verse since a little boy. And that it says, I can't. In fact, everybody say the first two words out loud. Here we go, every campus. I can not only forgive, I can do everything if God gives me the strength to. Yeah. And here's the deal. My job is to show you where that strength comes from. So here's would be a bad thing for a pastor to do, and that is tell you to do something and you don't have the strength to do it. So I don't need to convince you to forgive. It's important. What I need to do now is show you where that strength comes from. And that's why I'm going to hopefully give you a forgiveness message different than anyone you've ever heard before. Because you think about, where does that strength come from? Where does the strength of God come from? The strength of God comes from forgetting that other person and the situation and putting your trust and faith in him. Like the closer I get to him, what happens is he gives me capacity, he gives me abilities that, check it out, that I didn't have before. Like I didn't even know I could do that. I didn't know I could forgive like that. I grew up with a guy in high school, and before I went to the Christian school. I got saved at 15 and then spent my junior and senior year at a Christian school, but I still had to finish my sophomore year out at the school when I gave my heart to Jesus. The most popular guy at our school, Woodlawn High School in Baton Rouge, the most popular guy, he was actually in one grade older. I was a sophomore, he was a junior. The most popular guy in the entire school was a guy named Kevin Schultz. Everybody loved Kevin. Everybody knew Kevin for a couple of reasons. One is that Kevin was just the life of the party, but he was openly Christian. I mean, just loved God, did not mind sharing his faith. He was actually, had the giant upper body strength, just big chest, very similar to what you're seeing right now. Just thanks a lot. That really helps. All right, so now I've got to forgive you. All right, so anyway, but just big, but most notably, Kevin didn't have any legs. He had 2 prosthetic limbs because when he was 8 years old, he and his older brother ran away from home because their father beat them every day. In fact, beat them with brass knuckles. I think beat them to a pulp every day. He was an alcoholic and come home every day and just beat Kevin and his brother. Well, they decided they had enough. And their plan was to run away. And they went out to the train track and they were going to just jump on a train that was actually going by very slowly. You could walk at the pace this train was going, as he's told me the story many times. And they had all these box cars, but there was one that was open, and their plan was to jump on it and just go wherever it took them, and they were gonna start their life over. That was their plan. Well, as the story goes, Kevin and his brother were holding hands, and they were just waiting for that box car to come. And when it got closer, his brother said, "You ready?" Kevin said, "Yep." And they went 1, 2, 3, and his brother made it into the boxcar. It was too tall for Kevin, but the brother didn't let go of his hand, and he swung underneath the tracks, and it ran over his legs right at the kneecaps, just below the kneecaps. And he tells this story, and it was horrible. It was horrible. You would expect Kevin to have all this bitterness, all this hate. He was just the happiest guy ever. So when I got saved, I was starting to put the pieces together. And I went to him. We really weren't buddies because he's in that older grade. And I said, "Man, I just got saved. You're an inspiration to me, but I gotta know how you do that. How'd you do all this?" He goes, "Oh, Chris," he goes, "I just got the joy of God. God saved my life." And he starts prophesying and testifying about his life. And he'd say funny things like, he said, "Chris, and guess what? I'll never be defeated again." Get it? Defeated? Can't happen to me. It was crazy. He would unstrap his legs and turn the shoes where the shoes are pointing and walk around the hall backwards. I mean, I actually had a math class with him that next year when he was a senior and I was a junior. And we had a substitute teacher one day, and he goes, hey, Chris, watch this. And he was over there unstrapping his leg. And he said, and when the teacher came by, he took his leg off, scratched his head, stuck it back on. She freaks out. I mean, he's that kind of crazy guy. I mean, he's just a crazy guy. And it taught me something, that if someone had been through all that, can have the power of God to change your life, then it's available for every single one of us too. Do you believe that today, church? It really is.